Hello and welcome to Geeky Guys. If you're into geeky things, we're the guys for you. Hi there guys, how's it going today? In today's video, we're having a look at the top 10 Time Spiral remastered cards for Commander or EDH, whatever you want to call it. So that's the video for today. First, I want to quickly talk about honourable mentions. Now, I didn't really know where to put honourable mentions, whether to put it before the top 10 list, because people will be like, well, we just want to see what's in the list or whatever, you know, like what's number 10, quick, get to number 10, you know, and whatnot. But I don't also want to put it just before number 1 or, you know, halfway through or whatever, because it's also very awkward. People want to get along with the list, so I don't really know where exactly to put it. But I do have to talk about some honourable mentions. I thought it's the best way to just get them out of the way to start up with. And there are a few cards that are from the set that are really good. There are a few others that I'm not going to mention here, but there are a few others from the set that are really good, and I think have some value, but there are other reasons as to why you know, they just don't get into the list for today. A couple of those, starting with Tarmogoyf, of course, one of the most iconic cards. I used to play with Tarmogoyf back when I was actually playing Modern so long ago. You know, I used to play a few other decks, but before that, but you know, like I did play with Tarmogoyf. It's a very expensive card. Jund is a thing in Vintage, and you know, there's some Delver decks and Sultai Delver decks and whatnot that use this card. This is a very valuable card. If you don't want it for your Commander decks, you know, and you happen to open it, it's still a very valuable card. So, you know, you can get something for it. Thoughtseize, another card used in pretty much every constructed format that it's legal in. One of the highest in-demand cards in those formats, you know. And again, this is just another card that carries a lot of value and whatnot. So again, if you don't really want this card when you pull it or what have you, even if, you know, you might just use it for draft, or you might not, it might be in the sideboard, whatever, you know, just keep it aside, keep it in mind that it is worth a fair bit, and you know, you can trade it in and you get something for it. Then one of the best cards from this set, obviously, Primeval Titan. This would probably crack number 1 or number 2 somewhere on this list. Unfortunately, Primetime is not legal in Commander anymore. You know, I don't think they'll ever change that. So, you know, it's still used in Modern and a few other formats here and there, I think, somewhat, but mainly in Modern. But, you know, a very good card that, you know, again, you can trade in for. And just one more card that I want to talk about as an honourable mention is Farseek. This is a cheap card, very good card though. You can get these, you know, at your LGS or from, you know, wherever you wish to buy cards. I usually say, you know, go and support your LGS, whatnot. So, you know, these are very cheap cards, but they're very good cards. They'll fit into your limited deck. And if you want to throw them in your Commander deck, as long as you're in green and you have everything else or anything else but a forest to look for, you know, it will find you some of those lands. So, you know, it's a very good card. So we'll get right on into the list now for today. And we're starting off with one of the most classic Commander cards in the format, Solemn Simulacrum, Sad Robot. This is a pretty good card that's found its way into a lot of Commander decks, especially when you're not in green, or when you really need that body for something else. You're in a Zac deck or whatnot. This has found its way into many a deck, and you know, it's a solid number 10. You know, it's been reprinted quite a bit, but it's still up there in some prices, and it's still a very good card, especially with this old border. It's getting a lot more dollars on it, an alternate version and whatnot. So you know, that's why it sort of found its way in here to number 10. It's right at the bottom, but you know, there'll be a lot more other things coming up here, and we're going to talk now about number 9. And number 9 is another pretty good card. It fits into a fair few decks. Vanquishes Banner. This is for tribal decks for the most part, for almost all the parts, but you know, this is a card that, you know, again, it's seeing a reprint in this old border style, and some people really like that old border style, so I sort of understand maybe why it's still up there as well, you know, in terms of the value, but, you know, this is a very good and playable card in all those tribal decks. I'm not a big fan of tribal decks, except for, of course, squirrels, but then again, in squirrels, you sort of don't have enough real squirrels to sort of like make this work, so it just sort of doesn't fit in. So but anyway guys, you know, if you're running a tribal deck and you know you need a Vanquishes Banner, maybe you want to pick one up, you know, if you happen to do a draft or pull one out of a random pack, I'd suggest buying the singles. But again, if you want this version of it, you know, you might have to pony up a little bit more than what you might normally do, but you know, you still get quite a good card, and once again, the artwork on it's quite nice. So yeah, we'll move on now. Number 8, it is panhard monacon, and this is another great card. All these cards are really great cards in Commander. I don't personally really have a deck with this in it. I've had a deck with this in it, and I've seen people play it, so it's one of those cards that just sort of finds its way into a lot of decks. It's sort of kind of a bit superseded by Yorick, but in the Yorick deck, I think you just sort of throw this in as another Yorick. You want to double up all your ETB triggers and whatnot, so this is certainly a very, you know, powerful and good card that, you know, you can use, and it fits into a lot of decks. You know, a lot of decks do have ETB triggers and whatnot, so utilizing this sort of a card, you know, is just an auto-run sort of card for most part of those decks. You know, maybe they're not blink tribal, you know, strictly, but you know, they've got enough ETBs to get, you know, a decent amount of value off this when they, you know, do play other things and whatnot. So just adding extra value to your ETBs is really good. You know, like if you have Crater Hoof Beavers, even it's triggers off of that, so that's pretty damn good. In-race monorails, a couple other things like that does trigger off of as well. People kind of forget, oh yeah, it actually triggers off of this as well, but you know, those are just those little things that are there. But anyway, we'll move on now to number 6, which it's interesting that this card is this high up to me a little bit, which is Herbal, Tomb of Yawgmoth, which, you know, I'm guessing this is just because, you know, every black deck or whatnot wants to do the Cabal Coffers combo basically, or not combo, but you know, combo basically, where you're turning all your lands into swamps so that you know, your Cabal Coffers is essentially tapping for a black banner for itself as well, and you can tap the black mana, and you can tap Herbal for black mana and things like that as well, so that you can just get, you know, all the mana in the world out of your utility lands and whatnot. You know, that's really powerful and really good. I think this is more of a CDH style card for a little bit, but you know, we might find a couple of the cards on here a little bit more into the CDH area. I don't want to go into too much of the CDH stuff for the most part, but this is just a generic card that a lot of decks do use, but mostly they use it in concert with combos and whatnot, so you know, I will probably not be worried too much about those. Moving on now, anyway. Next is Living Embodiment from that card. Number 6, Yawgmoth himself, Thrown Position. So this is a very powerful commander on its own. This is also a very powerful card that goes into the 99 of a lot of decks. It just does so much, and you know, it came out in monetized, and people were complaining that that was a commander set, you know, and whatnot. And you know, it does have some potential in those formats, but again, I think those formats have got a bit quicker for bit too quick for Yawgmoth and what he's doing, but apparently not too quick for Urza somehow, which does boggle my mind a bit. But still, whatever. But anyway, we'll keep him in our format, and we won't complain. We'll keep using him for things that we're going to use him for. And you know, he's very good. He does a lot of great things that you know, a lot of different decks want, and you know, proliferate. You know, that can go into a planeswalker deck. You know, the weirdest ability, obviously, protection from humans. Sometimes that does come up though. You know, he's a decent blocker sometimes, so that can count, and that sort of thing. You know, especially when he's putting nick one counters on things. You know, that can become very relevant sometimes. So, you know, and also just not being able to be blocked by humans is also sometimes quite good. You know, if this is your commander, you can sometimes get that Voltron win off. So, you know, don't forget about that. But anyway, we'll move on now. Number 5, Arcadies, the strategist. You know, when this commander came out, you know, well, I didn't think much of it, and I still don't think much of it. You know, wall tribal or whatnot. You know, I'd rather, you know, toughness or whatever tribal, I guess. You know, just big bums tribal or big butts tribal, whatever you want to say. I wanted to just try to say that as nice as possible, but I don't know any other way that you can sort of say it nicely without, you know, sort of trying to dance around too much. But, you know, anyway, Arcadies, you know, I think this deck was really popular when it came out. I think the main reason why this card, again, is sort of seeing this sort of high, you know, in my view, is that it's the whole border. And the same is sort of true for Yawgmoth, because Yawgmoth is really good. I think, you know, Arcadies, you know, could be a little bit below Yawgmoth, but you know, when it's this popular amongst other players, I think, you know, that's the thing. It's more popular amongst other people, not myself. So sometimes some of these things I don't totally agree with, but I can sort of see that it's, you know, I understand if people are hyped for it. Anyway, number 4, interesting card here, Pursuver. I actually think that this card, you know, is a really good card. The problem with this card is that, again, a lot of the cards, is that it just is very expensive and has been very expensive for a long time, and is just kind of only in the decks that, you know, really highly established in franchise players have. It's just one of those cards. It's a really good card, and a lot of newer players would like to have it so that they can have a copy of, you know, one of the most powerful cards on the battlefield if they want it, but they just can't afford it, or they can't get the copies of it because, you know, of the limited supply and the age of the original Time Spiral set and whatnot. So, you know, it's good to see a reprint of this card so that more players can get this into their hands, get this into their deck, use it. You know, again, even though this, you know, maybe going to be a $20-odd card or whatnot, it's still a cheaper Gaia's Cradle sometimes, and it's sometimes a cheaper, you know, Cabal Coffers or whatever else is on the battlefield that you want to copy with this card. Even if you're just copying another basic land that you have, it's just another copy of a basic land. It can be a copy of a command tower. It can do so much for you that I really think that the only reason, again, that it's not seeing so much play is the price and the availability. But anyway, number 3, Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker. Now this card, it has probably literally a million different combos that happen with this card. It doesn't literally, but there's just so many cards that just literally combo off with this card. And it's a good commander. And of course, when you play this as your commander, everyone sort of knows what you're up to for the most part. There's that new pirate actually that just came out in Commander Legends. Oh, I say just came out, but that was actually at the end of last year and whatnot. But still, there's that sort of just recently came out, and you know they made this card even better. So I can easily see why this is up there, and it's certainly an iconic card, and it's again in this old border, which a lot of people really like. I really like some of the old border, some of it's really cool, and you know, this one certainly with the dragon in the back glowing with gold and all that, it's really cool. So I can certainly see why this is up there as one of the more major cards from this set. Alright, number 2, Damnation. Black. This was Black's basically first really good board wipe for a long time, and you know, it's still a really expensive card. It's not nearly as good as Toxic Deluge, but still, you know, it's very good and very powerful. And you know, if you're in black and you want to kill the creatures on the board, you know, this is, you know, basically the second best board wipe to do it, and it's still, you know, a $30 to $40 card. It is one of the best cards that you can pick up for your black commander deck in this entire set. Number 1, of course, it is the iconic Sliver Legion. Sliver Legion is just amazing card for slivers, and if you're also playing all tribal and things like that, this is a really great card for decks like that. This is basically coat of arms on a 7/7 body. You know, it really makes your slivers very quickly lethal, or your clones, or your copies, or your shapeshifters or whatnot, for your all tribal cards into just massive threats that basically win you the game on the spot a lot of the time, and things like that. So, you know, just a very powerful card, very simple card, but again, since it's not been reprinted very much, since it's low supply and whatnot, it has crept up, and it is a really high price, which will definitely bring the price down on this card. But that's it, you know, guys. Did I miss anything from the set that you are really hyped about? You know, what other cards are in the set that you wanted to see? Were there any cards that you thought would be in the set that weren't in the set? You know, drop a comment down below and let me know. Please remember that the success of channels like this is based on viewers like you, so please consider liking, sharing and subscribing if you would like to support this content. You can also get social with us on our Discord and on our Facebook. If you would like to further support the channel, you can go onto our Patreon. All links are in the description. Thank you for your support. It really means a lot. Hope you have enjoyed this video here today, and if you have, hope you will come back for another one. See you then.